Today we're going to review how to use the Big Future website to help you with your college and dream job research. Once you get to Big Future, in the top right corner, you're going to use the search bar to find your school that you're interested in. Do not worry about having a sign-in, you do not need one. So for this example, I'm going to use UConn, so I have an example to show you. So I type in UConn. It gives me a bunch of links. I'm going to click the first link, and that's going to bring me to the page that tells me all about UConn. Every single school is set up the same way in Big Future, so you'll follow the same steps no matter what school you're looking at. It'll tell you the school name and where it's located at the top. Most of them have some sort of a picture in the middle, and then to the left side of the picture is where you have links you can click on. It gives you information at a glance, so that's just quick information. It gives you information about deadlines, so when applications and things like that would be due. It gives you information on majors and learning environment. This would be really important to know if you know what degree you want or what you want to be. So you could check, it tells you all the different types of degrees that UConn offers, but you should also check to make sure that the school has the thing you want to do, and you would look at all majors for that. So for example, if you wanted to be a chef, you would have to look to make sure that UConn offered culinary arts. If it didn't offer culinary arts, you'd have to find a school that did. But you would go through and you would see all of the things that each school offers as a major. So that's important for you to check. There's also information about campus life, but the two things that we're going to focus on for our research are under applying and paying. So when we click on applying, it tells us at the top the number of students who apply each year, how many get in, and it also tells us in the middle the percentage that get in. So that's one of the questions that you are asked in your research. What percentage of students are accepted to your school? So I now know 49% are accepted to UConn. If I look under academics and GPA, I get this really nice chart that tells me what classes I have to take in high school in order to get into UConn. The bottom has a key. If it's a white box, it means it's not required. If it's the dark gray box, it is required. If it's a light gray box, it's recommended. If the college is saying something is required or recommended, you should write it down. So for example, question number 2 of your research asks, which classes do you have to take in high school? So I would say English, and you have to take 1, 2, 3, 4 years of English. Then they have foreign language, 1, 2, 3 years. So you would count them all up and write them in your research. Another question asks what test you have to take to get into your college. In Connecticut, we take the SAT. So you most likely are going to have to take the SAT for whatever school you apply to. When you look at the SAT, it gives you 3 different scores. It tells you the reading and writing score. So for UConn, that's between a 590 and a 680. It tells you the math score. For UConn right now, it's between a 600 and a 710. Or it tells you the total score. So an 1190 to a 1390. You can choose how to write it in your research. Do you want to give me the 2 separate scores or the 1 total score? Either one is fine. Then one of the questions asks, how much does your college cost? So you might see an in-state tab and an out-of-state tab. If the college is in the state you currently live, like UConn is in Connecticut, then you would look at the in-state tab. If you're looking at a school that's not in Connecticut, you would look at the out-of-state tab, and you'll notice there's a pretty big difference for UConn. Out-of-state is over $57,000, where in-state is $35,000. Some schools will have big differences, some won't. The other thing you need to look at is the on-campus, off-campus, at-home. So if you're looking at a school that's near New Haven, you might be able to do the at-home price if you don't plan to live at the school. Someone like UConn, that's over an hour away, you're probably going to have to live on campus so that you're not driving so far every day, and you'd have a different price. So whichever price you think meets your requirement is what you would write down for your research. So that's Big Future. All the schools are looking the same. We did talk in class about schools like Yale. So let's look at Yale really quickly. Because when we go to Yale and we click on applying at Yale, Yes, it tells us the percentage of students that get in, but it doesn't give us any information for the high school requirements, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. It does give us SAT information. So if you are finding that your school doesn't have all the information it needs, then you should look up a school that is similar to that. So for Yale, a similar school would be Harvard. And if we look at Harvard and we look at their requirements under applying, then we would write down these. So that way we know some of the requirements that we would have to fulfill in order to get accepted into that school. So if there's nothing on there, then you would have to look up a similar school. If the similar school has nothing, then you'd have to Google the question. So you need to make sure you're using your resources to complete your research. And again, you're only using Big Future for the first few questions where it tells you in the research Big Future next to it. All of the questions have helpful hints that tell you where to find that information, so use the hints you've been provided.